Welcome to the war. Here I go. I finally got my bombard model for the Wars of the Roses completed, and I thought I'd celebrate by using it as the objective in a game of Lion Rampant. So excited to put some new forces on the table, as well as the objective marker there with the bombard in the middle. I've got some new character personalities. I'll get into those in a minute, but thought I'd play a game of Lion Rampant. This is going to be the Defend the Indefensible mission. So basically the attackers, in this case, the Lancastrians over there, are trying to capture, seize, destroy the objective, and the Yorkists, the defenders, are trying to stop them. So this is very loosely based around, or inspired by, let's put it that way, the Battle of Wakefield. You can see the River Calder there in the background. But I'm going to imagine this is sort of a precursor to that battle where Richard, Duke of York, one of my newly finished models, I'll show him in a minute, is looking to exact his revenge, or regroup his forces and fight against his embittered enemy, Henry Percy and the Duke of Exeter. So we're going to get these forces on the table. I'll go over what is contained in each little group of or war band. And then we'll get on with deployment. Okay, so for the forces of the House of York, they're going to be led by Richard, Duke of York. Finally excited to get him on the table, get him finished painted. Got his banner there. So that's a unit of heavy cavalry that he's going to be leading, followed closely behind, I'm sure, clanking along with 6 elite infantry. And then I've got 2 blocks of heavy infantry, the billmen. They are going to be part of the force defending the bombard at the beginning of the game. I've then got a unit of archers and something new. I haven't tried these before. A unit of skirmishers, small unit, only six men there. But the 2 heavy infantry, the billmen, and that unit of skirmishers make up the 10 points. They're going to be defending the objective at the beginning of the game. All right, let's go take a look at the Lancastrian attackers. Okay, for the forces of the House of Lancaster, they're going to be led by the impressive-looking Henry Percy, with both his standard and his banner. So excited to see how he performs in combat. He's going to be backed up by a unit of heavy infantry, a unit of heavy cavalry, a unit of, oh, let me back that up. That's a unit of elite cavalry. I always get that mixed up in this era or period. They're going to have a unit of archers and my somewhat ubiquitous mercenary crossbowmen. We'll see how they perform today. So just in terms of the scenario real quick, just scoot over this real fast. So forces are fighting end or coming on end to end. This hill here marks the edge of the table. I'm not using the full 8 feet. This is just 6 feet. So they're coming across. As I mentioned before, the Yorkists have 10 points of their forces allocated to defend the objective. So they'll be around that. And the rest of the force comes on from that end of the table. And then for the Lancastrian force, they start with everything on the table on this side. Now, just a point, because I know I kind of built the bombard. I had always had the intent that that was going to be the objective, so I knew I was going to be playing this mission quite intentionally. I didn't want to make, so I was building the forces afterwards, and I try to make them fun and interesting. They're not like game-winning, or crush-worthy forces that I got set up here. I did want to kind of make it though so that the attackers can't just plow their heavy cavalry right down the middle, smash through everything and just win like that. So I did quite intentionally put some trees in the way there. It's gonna be interesting. I feel like this kind of heavily favors the attacker, having everything on the board that they're able to push across, whereas the opponent has sort of a split force, so that they might be able to be fought off kind of piecemeal. We'll see. So yeah, let me get deployed, and we'll start rolling some dice. Okay, both sides have deployed, but I realized I got a little carried away before I started going on about as I was going on about the scenario here. So, basically, the objective for the attackers is to, as I said at the very beginning, all they have to do is come into contact with the bombard, and they count as winning the game. Now, let's add some caveats to that. This is a very big model, very long model at least. And the scenario rules in the book, the Lion Rampant book, say the objective should be about 3 inches by 3 inches. Well, either way, there's no way that's going to work. So I basically decided that we're going to play it that the cannon part, the actual like gun part of the objective, that's what counts as the bit touch. So come over here and tap these cannonballs. No, that doesn't do anything. Or anything like that. Same goes for the crew that are on it. We're just gonna, that's obviously a part of the model, the way I based it. So they don't count for anything. It doesn't block line of sight in any direction, any way. So all the attackers have to do is come into contact with the gun part of the bombard, and they win. However, the Yorkists or the defenders, they're going to win if 50% or 12 points of the attacker is destroyed. The rest of the force selects that discretion will be the better part of valor and will leave or quit the field. So those are the overall like outlines. I wanted to add, or the scenario rules, I wanted to add one more thing. I'm planning on, I want to play another game of Warhammer Ancient Battles, and thought this bombard would make an interesting little addition on it, as I've loosely been trying to connect my games here of in the Wars of the Roses series. I figured that if the defenders or the Yorkist win, they get to bring the bombard to the game, and if the Lancastrians win, then they don't. That might be a little or entirely overpowered. We'll figure that out. Other important thing, there are no rules in Warhammer Ancient Battles for this bombard, so that might be a challenge. Maybe we'll call it off board or something like that, but I don't really want to put that model on the table. Anyway, we'll figure that out. Whoever wins the game, they're going to get some kind of advantage in the next game, and that'll be a Warhammer Ancient Battles game. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about the. I think that covers everything I wanted to go over as I was setting these up. So as you can see, the defenders, the Yorkists, they've got their 2 units, and I've tried really hard to keep the 3-inch gap rule going between units, but they've got their 2 blocks of billmen, kind of front loading the objective, and the skirmishers are behind. So they're probably going to break either way, whichever side the more threatening side of the force comes. Outside of that, Richard of York's here with his heavy cavalry. The archers are next to them, and the foot knights are at the back. So they do have quite a slog to get across this table to the objective. I think the cavalry won't have much of a problem, but infantry is going to take a while. On the other side of the table, right, let's just go, I'll go around and shoot around the back here. So from right to left, we've got the crossbowmen next to the elite cavalry, Henry Percy and his elite infantry right there. Duke of Exeter next to him with the billmen. And I believe this is the Duke of Somerset. Yep. Can't remember them all. But yeah, with the archers, they're there. So we've got the missile units on the sides, looking to close in around the objective. So we're going to start rolling some dice now for real and get the game going. So with the opening move, it does not bode well for the House of York. Lancaster, or the Lancastrians on their side, were able to successfully activate every unit. They're clearly just kind of playing forward across the entire line, with the exception of the crossbows, who failed in activation and were not close enough to the commander to use the reroll, which is exactly what befuddled the House of York. I tried to reposition one of the billman units to face the oncoming charge. It looks like they're cracking down the left flank. But they failed. They've straight up failed the move activation. So quick turn all around here. And as before with this game, there's so many turns it can turn over in a heartbeat. So I'm not going to keep a track of the turns or anything like that. This could really go on for a while. Yeah, I'll just create a summary at the end of each group or set of turns. So this is the overall view of the board so far. A lot more action in the next round on both sides. So for the attackers, Lancaster, they were able to activate everything. The crossbows activated and were able to move up. The infantry from the center to their right flank was all able to move as well. And the cavalry continued on apace, coming down this left side around the woods to threaten the objective. I did things the other way around this time for the Yorkists. Whilst obviously I failed my very first activation, or their very first activation here, which might have been a bad decision or a bad tactical decision based on there are other units that have a better activation roll and everything like that. But I felt this was a more urgent requirement, so that's kind of why I did that one. Yeah, it probably wasn't the smartest. But anyway, this turnaround, they did it. Lesson learned. But anyway, let's start back here. Everything activated. So the heavy cavalry moved forward. The archers moved forward. The elite foot knights moved forward. So they're all kind of barreling again to the rescue here. But a little bit of a conundrum here. I decided to pull away rather than just sitting on the objective to basically create some speed bumps for the impending cavalry that's bearing down, whilst trying to stay outside of charge range, and certainly wild charge, not activating that. I'd like to think that at least I think one-on-one, yeah, the heavy cavalry or the elite cavalry here is certainly gonna be the hardest hitting, but 2 units of billmen, well, that's a different story. So they might be able to pull this off and bog them down long enough for reinforcements to arrive. We'll see how that all pans out. I was getting a little worried that this was going to be just a complete charge and rush from the attackers, but maybe not. However, that being said, these skirmishers, they're kind of blocked, so maybe they should have gone the other way. We'll see. That might come back to bite us. Anyway, it was interesting, entertaining. Let's see how it pans out. Okay, a decisive turn here for both sides. Everyone passed their activation. Everybody moved accordingly. But the real main action, for the House of York, this unit of billmen kind of sidestepped, moved a little bit out of the way, preparing for the oncoming charge of the elite cavalry. However, the skirmishers behind were able to inflict 1 casualty. Now that firing lane was open, they were able to inflict 1 casualty, and the elite cavalry failed their courage check. So not only did they have to retreat, but they also became battered. So definitely not the walkover I was getting worried that this was going to turn into. And now I can see the right flank here for the House of Lancaster. It's going to have to get its skates on and start moving up. Otherwise, the rest of the force is going to get here pretty quick for York to save the day. So interesting turn, really cool turn of events. On to the next turn. I think we got a game on our hands here. So let's say the elite cavalry were able to rally, but obviously no further action for that. But they did create sort of a blocking speed bump for their own unit here with the crossbowmen moving around. But now on this right side of the Lancastrian force, they really started to push up and threaten. And we're very close to, or at least we're in charge range of the unit of billmen on the Yorkist side here. But this unit of billmen decided to pull back a little bit, waiting for the backup reserve of the Duke of York here. So that happened, is all happening kind of around the center. There's this big swirl. I think this is quite the cauldron that's unfolding here. This unit of billmen also pulled back out of charge range of the elite cavalry. The skirmishers sort of regrouped a little bit, inevitably, I think, to shoot in the next turn. And the two units here at the back slogging away. They're getting pretty close though with the elite the elite infantry and the other unit of archers. So again, still only one casualty has been inflicted so far. One of the elite cavalry on the Lancastrian side, but I think this is brewing up to be quite a spectacular clash right in the middle here. Okay, we saw a little bit more combat in this turn. Where to start? I'll start with that. So the unit of billmen here on the Yorkist side decided to try charging the impending elite infantry. They took one casualty and broke off, passed the courage check. Nothing too serious there, although they're likely going to get hit again in the next turn. Richard of York was able to move up. And he's obviously going to be threatening that side now. This is, I think, going to be pretty decisive. On this side, the archers, or the skirmishers, I should say, moved up. The other unit of billmen stayed there. The two units here, I'm starting to think the archers are going to break a little bit more to the left. He can support that side if at all necessary. And the elite foot are going to move up and threaten this cavalry, which, for what it's worth, failed its command check or its activation check and wasn't able to do anything. And the crossbows didn't get to move either, ending the turn as a result of that ending the turn. So probably pretty bloody next turn to look forward to. Let's see what happens. All right, a really dramatic turn here, turn of events. So where do we even start? Let's just focus all around the middle here. This is kind of a swirling melee. So on the Lancaster side, Henry Percy charged a unit of billmen and was able to kill enough of them that when they failed their courage check, they actually broke and ran. This forced this unit of billmen to really kind of back up, spread out, back, arguably back to their starting positions, really defending this bombard from the remaining elite infantry with Henry Percy there, and the impending doom of the elite cavalry bearing down on them. Richard, Duke of York, I reflected on this, or I was like doing the cinematic thing and issuing a challenge commander to commander, but that just would have been a really bad idea. And I'm thankful I read that that's not actually compulsory. So that being said, the York's unit did charge Percy's unit, but came off the worst for wear, actually lost two of the units. So while Henry Percy's unit of elite foot has been worn down, they're still very much threatening and still very much in the game. And let's see what else. In a desperate move, the archers here fired. Again, we said this didn't block line of sight. Before they moved back, they fired on the Percy, the elite infantry unit, didn't do anything. This unit of Yorkist elite infantry is racing to offer support. I don't know if they're going to make it. And the skirmishers here, before I forget, they did inflict another casualty on the elite cavalry, but not enough to cause, or they passed the courage check. So no ill effects there other than losing that person or that one model. Outside of that, the crossbows might get to do one effective thing in the game and fire on those pesky skirmishers, which, I mean, arguably they punched well above their weight. They inflicted 2 casualties on the elite cav there. And then on this side, not a whole lot happening. Well, I say not, but I think the archers tried shooting into York's unit there, but weren't able to cause anything. And this unit was able to just move up and kind of offer support. So as you can see, I would be quite surprised if this goes more than another turn. I think the sequence of play here might be enough in the Lancastrians' favor for them to pull off a victory. However, we'll see. Yeah, that's game. So the elite cavalry wild charged the billmen, were able to inflict some casualties. They broke off, retreated, and were also battered. And then the unit of Henry Percy's elite infantry was able to come in and come in contact with the objective, so that automatically ended the game, and it's a victory for the Lancastrians. This, honestly, it felt a little more dramatic and close than maybe the outcome may look. The defenders really did almost get, I would say, if they could have just got one more turn out of this, then I think things would have been very, very different. The elite infantry here is certainly within range to get involved. These archers, I mean, they, a desperate move, but those skirmishers could have plowed in as well. There's still a fairly healthy unit of heavy cavalry here. These units are still, somewhat out of the fray, certainly at least within charge range. So it's probably closer to, or could come down a lot closer than maybe it seems. And there really weren't even that many casualties to be spoken of. So anyway, that being said, this is, I believe, the first victory we've had, or I've had, for the Lancastrian side of the Wars of the Roses. So excited to see them get their moment in the sun, and we'll look forward to the next battle. Like I said, I want to do another big battle, but we won't feature that. Maybe we'll make it like a terrain feature or something like that. I'll figure that out, but with the bombard. But yeah, I hope this was fun to watch. It was certainly fun to play. Thanks for watching.